Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm H.G. Tudor, and welcome all to this evening's live stream. I'm here to answer your questions, to address the burning issues that you have your glorious narrator here to ensure that your understanding is improved. So ensure that you have your questions at the ready. Fire them in the live chat, and I'll endeavor to address as many as I possibly can. So ensure that you put your questions. I belong to HG asks very politely, how are you doing, HG, on this fine evening? I'm excellent, well, thank you for your kind enquiry. Patan asks, we know you have an excellent work ethic, but do you ever procrastinate? In terms, do I put things off? There are occasions where one will put things off, but not without good reason. I don't just put them back for the sake of putting them back because I can't be bothered to do them. There is an appropriate justification for not doing something necessarily immediately. Remember, the way that I approach things with my narcissism and my psychopathy is that there is calculation, premeditated decisions. And that sometimes means that not necessarily doing something that moment is the most appropriate thing to do. There are occasions where it is appropriate to wait. The Tower throws in a question, HG, do you prefer your vodka martini shaken or stirred? I preferred it stirred on this occasion. Misty One asks, what do you wear in bed? I don't wear anything in bed. I sleep naked. Skylark asks, do you have an opinion on the United Kingdom's assisted dying bill? I think that people should be allowed to make a decision about if they want to end their life. After all, it's their life. How would narcissists utilize this for themselves? Well, I think you would find that you would get a lot of mid-range narcissists that would ultimately utilize it as a threat, that I want to utilize whatever provision the assisted dying takes in whatever form it takes. So whereas now you would get them saying, I'm going to kill myself because nobody likes me, etc., it'll be now I want to undertake the assisted dying. They won't necessarily genuinely mean it. They'll just be doing it, as you know, to engender a response, to draw fuel from people reacting to it, to cause people to give them that attention, that they'll use it to control people. Let's see what else. What Christmas list gifts would HG wish? Do you mean what gifts would be on my Christmas list? Well, really, you should be making suggestions, wouldn't you, to decide to offer me in terms of what you would like to give to the ultra. What do you think I would like for Christmas? What do you think would be apt and suitable for me? Chris Boozy Breath asks, HG, when you're in the shower, what do you wash first? The companion who's got in the shower with me, naturally. You're welcome, Patan. Very polite of you. Maureen Ingleston. Hello, HG. I feel blessed to be in your presence, as you ought to. You're in the presence of the Ultra. All is well in the world. Patan poses another question. Busy fingers, Patan. You have said that we are drawn to you, but you are never drawn to us. Well, that's not necessarily the case. Do you mean me or narcissists as a whole? Narcissists as a whole are drawn to their victims because they recognize, either consciously or subconsciously, the accessibility of that individual. You might have watched my video, I Smell Victim, where I talk about the capacity where we identify our victims. So we're drawn. What I said was we attach people to us. We are not attached to them. That's perhaps that what you are thinking about. Mystic Me asks, what would a narcissist do and feel when the empaths escape while in the golden period? You have a magical velvety voice. Thank you very much. It is unusual for an empath to escape during the golden period. After all, why would you? You're being treated marvelously well. You're being flattered, complimented. You may be getting gifts, taken to interesting places, given some delicious spicy poontang, some hanky-panky. Accordingly, most people don't escape during the golden period as a consequence of the fact that it feels good and also, of course, their own soaring emotional thinking. But if, by some reason, the empath decided to move away from the narcissist during the golden period, that, of course, is a threat to control. The most likely response is for your more evolved narcissist to crank up the charm, crank up the flattery, to draw you back in. Less evolved narcissists, you may then see that they lash out, that they call you a name, that they criticize you, that you might get a silent treatment from them. The narcissist would feel irritation, annoyance, the presence of the fury, because it's a threat to control. Thus, the narcissist, where you would seek to escape during the golden period, the narcissist would look to assert control over you by bringing you back in and would feel the effects of fury. I'm asked, has your disguised image ever appeared in any of the video thumbnails? I've explained previously that I do appear in numerous thumbnails, particularly those that appear on the blog. Not so that it would give away my identity, of course, but I do appear. Where? Of course, I'm not going to tell you. You need to go and find that out for yourselves. Lemony Snicket. Hi, HG from Australia. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining me. Up bright and early. Are you nestling in your bed still, ensconced in your duvet, or perhaps it's rather warm? Perhaps you're there just underneath one silken sheet, pressed against your body, adorning the curves. Let's see. An old geezer. HG, are you part of MI5 or MI6, a James Bond type of job? I've made it very clear. I am an ice cream delivery man in high conflict areas. Accordingly, where there is an urgent need for mint choc chip, I'm parachuted in. Suddenly, is there a need for rum and raisin? You will find me hurtling towards this danger, there armed with my scooper and my cornets. Wanda Adcox, good afternoon, our glorious narrator. So glad for this. Thank you very much. Do you have feelings? Of course I do. I'm not a robot. I'm a machine, of course, but I do have feelings. I just don't have as many as other people, and they don't tend to spike as much in the way that other people's do. So I don't experience joy or happiness or sadness. I experience power. I experience hatred. I experience infatuation. But I have a tremendous level of control over those feelings. And also, I've learned the appropriate way to express what is expected by way of those feelings. For example, the tone of my voice, the look in my eyes, the gesticulations, etc. So I am able to express emotions in order to fit in, often in a way which is greater than that which is actually being felt. There we are. Nice with a bite. Certainly is, isn't it? I do enjoy sinking my teeth into something from time to time. My sat-nav sounds like you. It's great fun. Could it possibly be you? Well, there might have been some enterprising soul that has taken the chocolatey, velvety voice of your glorious narrator and applied it to a sat-nav. I haven't done it formally, so it might be the case that somebody's done it, but I suspect it's probably not me. Never Whistle at Night. Good afternoon from Canada. Good afternoon, Canada. Canada's assistance dying program is being looked at a bit more closely. I was hearing from certain experts whilst I was doing certain things today and listening to Radio 4 that they were talking about the experience in Canada where it hasn't been particularly well applied. And if I remember correctly, they were saying that 1 in 24 deaths in Canada are now as a consequence of the assisted dying program, which is rather interested. Paws, Claws and Jaws, great name. Question, HG, have you finished writing your Little Boy Lost book? Not quite. I have been making more progress on it as of late, but it still is not completely finished. Lima Echo, unaware narcs ruled by their subconscious, basically. You are fully self-aware and do not appear to dream. How active is your subconscious? It seems to work very differently for you. There are aspects, of course, where I'm still governed by instinct, but I have an awareness as to why I do those things. So I understand myself. The fact is that my subconscious still plays a part, for instance, with the assimilation of information that enables me to identify victims so quickly. I'm able to pick it apart. So, for instance, if I was to sit and work it out, I can. But of course, that takes time. I'm able to unpack it, but there are many things that I do which makes me so effective at what I do because it's effectively occurring in the subconscious. Susan Doe is suggesting soap on a rope. Is that a suggestion for a gift? Soap on a rope. Goodness me. I don't use soaps. I use shower gels. In case you're wondering. Sometimes Molton Brown, often Creed shower gels as well. So if anybody's thinking that they'd like to get the Ultra, some of those for Christmas, you'd be more than welcome. And you can email me at narcissus1909@gmail.com, and I'll provide you with a gatekeeper's address for you to send them to. If you'd like to do that, it'd be very kind of that. Sue was asking me this or that, and why not? An evening listen to Celine Dion or never listening to Depeche Mode again. Sue, you cruel taskmistress. I think I would be able to endure an evening listening to Celine Dion. That would, to my mind, whilst unpleasant, would be bearable in order to ensure that I could continue to listen to Depeche Mode. So there we are. UVA, most important information on the planet. Absolutely. I endorse that. Rebecca asked, will it be too early to send you your Christmas gift next week? No, it will not. You can send it as soon as you like. Molly Shepherd, Bose headphones. I approve. Lemony Snicket, do you like tea or coffee? I prefer tea over coffee. I don't really drink a lot of coffee. Cast Cal, HG, do you agree that there's no evidence that Rudolph agreed? Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then How did the reindeer loved him? Why did Rudolph say yes? I really don't understand what you're wittering on about there, but perhaps if you want to clarify or revisit it, cast Cal. CSW, good evening, HG. Good evening, CSW. My first time joining your live stream. How exciting. Isn't it just? Do you feel your skin tingling? Do you feel hairs on the back of your neck standing up? I just wanted to say thank you for creating Narcissism Psychopathy with HG. It's fantastic. Thank you very much. I expect more of you to make your way over to that channel and ensure that you subscribe. Let's see what else have we got. Duchess of Camelot. Hello, HG. Hello, Duchess of Camelot. Are you afraid of anything or anyone? Celine Dion singing naturally. No, I don't experience fear. This doesn't mean that I'm stupid. So, for instance, if somebody were to pull a knife on me or point a gun at me, I recognize that that's going to cause me harm, and I don't really enjoy being stabbed. It's particularly painful. Consequently, I would look to disincentivize the aggressor in some way. Accordingly, I apprehend the problem, but it doesn't create a fear response in me. So, in effect, I have the best of both worlds. I have the capacity to recognize danger, so I'm not oblivious to it, but I don't have a fear response. So, therefore, I don't experience the anxiety. I don't experience the sudden need to wee like some people might do. Alaska is confirming that just when Alaska thought my voice couldn't sound any better, it is in those earphones. Absolutely. You have the full audio orgasm going on right there. I belong to HG asked, do you like Christmas biscuits? What do you mean? What do you mean by Christmas biscuits? Like hobnobs, is there a Christmas version or something like that? I think you need to be a little more specific about that. Colleen Salon asks, would love your opinion on the interviews with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Aviro. Are those the interviews that have been taking place for Wicked, where they holding hands or something and doing weird finger movements together? I saw one pop up as a short clip and I just thought to myself, what a fucking pair of weirdos. I may have to go and revisit that and break it down. Certainly strange, isn't it? Zainab, issuing instructions as always. Can you please say, she sells seashells on the seashore in Seychelles. Fast. There we are, I've said it for you. The Tower. What's your favorite fragrance of Creed? Mine is Virgin Island water. I prefer Aventus, Viking, and Milliciem Imperial. Patan again. Patan, you've drawn up a list today, haven't you? Full marks for you. Hypothetically, if we were to meet, and I asked you to drop the facade to show me the darkness in your dead eyes for a few moments, could you do that and then return to the facade when I asked? Well, if you asked nicely, rather than ordering me around, yes, I could do that quite readily. Let me see. An old geezer. HG, have you ever dated another narcissist? Well, I've played hide the sausage with other narcissists. I've engaged in a bit of pounding of the Punani pavement, knocking somebody's hip out who's the narcissist. I've never taken them as an intimate partner primary source, but I have had them as intimate partner secondary sources. So it's usually been more of in an affair situation or a bit of discussing Ugandan affairs one night, that type of thing. I suppose there are a couple of instances where I might have said that I've dated. So yeah, that's right. Barb, oh, this is an interesting question. When you were married, yes, what an episode that was. How was your wife's relationship with her mother-in-law? Well, as you know, Matriarch is a narcissist also. And entertainingly, as you'd expect, nobody was good enough for her blue-eyed boy. So I think the best way of describing it, it was rather frosty and distant. My ex-wife did her level best to get on side with Matriarch, but ultimately admitted defeat, as I knew that she would. What else have we got? Alison, what's your favorite roulette number? 0. Lemony Snicket. Do narcissists feel happy? No, but unaware ones believe that they would do. Ghost account. How would you react if someone did discover your real identity? They wouldn't. But if they somehow did, well, they've just signed their death warrant, haven't they? Patan, you have said that you sometimes disincentivize people. What would be the reason for this, or what would cause you to do it? Disincentivization occurs as a consequence of something that I do professionally. I'm not going to be saying anything more than that. Let's see. Susan Short. Good morning, HG from Australia. Good morning, Susan. Thank you for being up bright and early, or bushy-tailed and bright-eyed. Can an autistic person also be a narcissist? Yes, I have made videos about that. So if you search for them on this channel, you'll find them. And I also had an interesting discussion with Harry Thompson, who is an autistic individual. So we had an excellent back and forth about the topic. So I would suggest that you would watch those videos. Helen Howard, rum and raisin, what do those stand for? Like murders and executions? No, it's quite simply rum and raisin, the ice cream. As you know, I'm an ice cream delivery guy in high conflict areas. Lima Echo, HG, how spontaneous are you when you travel for pleasure? It's as a consequence of my commitments that much of what I do is mapped out quite some distance in advance, and I don't really travel for pleasure. I think a more accurate way would be saying when I travel for reasons which are not associated to what I do professionally. And in those circumstances, it tends to be an adjunct to what I'm doing professionally. So, for instance, if I have to go to a particular area and there might be an opportunity for me to take in the sights, etc., I will go and do that. So there's a spontaneity if I choose to, but much of the time I would do it linked into what I'm doing professionally because that makes more sense. It's a better use of my time. Sue, thank you very much for the super thanks there. Appreciate that. Merry Christmas, HG. Thank you for all your work. Thank you for watching my work and for listening. It is much appreciated. I belong to HG. Sorry, HG, you likely wouldn't know the types of biscuits. What are they? Disco biscuits. Have you been chomping down on those? Big box, little box, big box, little box. Patan, HG, you once said that wetting the bed is an indicator of psychopathy. There are those that maintain that's the case. Did you wet the bed other than as a baby? Are we getting into some kinky games here, Patan? Are we talking rubber sheets and wet work going on in that regard? Is that what you're driving at? I can only remember one occasion where I had wet the bed, and I was still very young, and it was because I was away from the home environment. Lisa, are you going to write any more installments of your Ensnared series? I am. The final aspect to it needs to be delivered to you. So that is something that is going to happen. Anna Jackson, HG is on my Christmas list, I think you mean to write. Well, his books are. Well, that's good. Andrew T. Dear HR. HR? HR? It's HG. Come now. Are narcissists suicidal? Most are not. There can be instances where a narcissist takes their own life. It is rare. It is unusual. More often, their narcissism utilizes suicide threats as a means to assert control and draw fuel. Therefore, they are not genuinely suicidal. The narcissism just uses that as a means to get to the prime aims. Patan has a document. She has in her hand a piece of paper which will guarantee lots of questions in the course of this evening. What else do we have? Okay, Ren Zander, Dearest Ultra, do you have a favorite Depeche Mode song or album? I love their song Suffer Well. Yes. Do you like the video to that? Where Dave Gahan's going along the street and he goes in and he steals and then he comes out and he goes into a bar or a disco and then eventually it's his actual wife, you know, that's in that video with him. Do I have a favorite Depeche Mode song? I do. It's Never Let Me Down Again. And in terms of album, it's a toss-up, really, between Black Celebration, Music for the Masses, and Violator. I would say Music for the Masses just edges it. The Tower. Viking is a great fragrance, or Viking, as the Scandinavians would say. Rani H71 sounds like some kind of chemical, doesn't it? That some uber villain needs to lay his hands on in order to create some kind of bomb Hi, HG. Love your channel. Thank you so much. Who's going to win the match on Sunday? I'm married to an LFC fan who can't wait to give your team a spanking. May I suggest that you petition for divorce? Teresa Brown. I thought they were green. Question for HG. Can you tell us if Kemi Badenoch is a narcissist? Do you think Keir Starmer is as well? You think they both are, do you now? Well, if you want to find out about that, may I invite you to go to the Knowledge Vault and utilize the Know the Narcissist package. At the moment, because it's Black Friday, you can get 50%. Yes, a whopping 50% off the amount. V tells us that my voice is weaving its way through the apartment on a rainy Sydney morning. Delightful, yes. Does anybody have any pets that are listening? Are any dogs or cats paying particular interest to the Ultra's voice, one wonders? I do get people telling me from time to time that their animals like to listen to me. Some would say, of course, that I naturally attract pussy, but that would be rather rude to say that, wouldn't it? D. Stew, absolutely brilliant channel. Thank you so much. Thank you for posting and sharing your knowledge with us. You're most welcome. Thank you for joining me. Let us see what else. Teresa Brown, I thought they were green. Question, is your ex-wife still painted black? Do you still keep in touch with her? Well, in actual fact, why don't we hear from her? Because she's sat right next to me now. Come on, it's your turn. Come and speak. I'm not sure if you could decipher what she had to say there. It's best to keep the duct tape wrapped around her mouth. She really does talk too much. Lima Echo, if it's not too indiscreet, who would be your dream opponent? If you could take anyone down just for a fun challenge, perhaps, who would it be? Or maybe a type of person. I quite happily cause James Corden arsehole to explode so that his blubbery mass is spattered all over a wall. Would that do? Paws, Claws, and Jaws. HG, would you please consider narrating Oscar Wilde's stories for children for your other channel? Send me some of the material and I shall attend to that for you. Lemony Snicket, does your first name and your last name start with the same letter? No. Duchess of Camelot, HG, do you like us? Of course I like you. You're all splendid, beautiful, so beautiful people, or users for fuel. Well, I do receive fuel from you, but as I've made it clear on numerous occasions, that the fuel that I obtain from the people that watch my videos, that comment, etc., is largely from tertiary sources because we don't know one another. So it's not particularly potent. There are some people that I've spoken to in consultation for a substantial period of time that have become secondary sources, so that improves the potency of their fuel. But much of the fuel that's sent my way is in writing, which is a small amount. Of course, in consultation, some people appear on camera, some just speak to me, and therefore there's a larger amount of fuel. So it's not quite accurate to say I use my viewers for fuel, because I actually use my viewers for a residual benefit, which is the creation of my legacy. But I'm a narcissistic psychopath, so I use everybody. People are appliances to me. Margaret Mason, HG, why did you gaslight your subscribers with "this one's wife rang me"? Some actually believe you. I mean, come on. If you really thought that was true, you need to go and have a word with yourself. It's called humor and parody. I was actually taking the mick out of the suggestion that this one's wife would ever bother to ring a YouTuber. That was the first point. And then I was causing a laugh. If you think that's gaslighting, you don't actually understand what gaslighting means. And also, I would suggest that you rewrite your letter to Santa if you fall into this category and write, "Dear Santa, I honestly do believe that you exist. So please could you send me a sense of humor kit forthwith?" Alaska is saying that the saucy words hit differently in earphones. Would you like some more saucy words? Would you? You would, wouldn't you? You utter scoundrel. You want more saucy words. Very well. I shall just give you a few just to be going on with. I don't want you to get overexcited and explode. Barbecue. Tartar. Ketchup. Maureen Ingleston, HG has become a real diamond on YouTube. He has educated so many of us on narcissism. What a truly valuable gift he's given us. Absolutely. Do show your appreciation. And B, what would you do next if someone declared their rapturous and all-consuming love for you, mail or direct? It regularly happens that people declare their love for me. It's fuel, you see, and shows that they're under control. Let me see what else we have here. Thank you for all of the various questions that you are throwing my way. I'm just going to scroll back up as it jumped forward. I'm trying to get to everybody. Alaska HG, can you tell by the chat people who are narcissists? After a period of time, certain behaviors will support that. But from one comment, one can't say. Cha-cha mango. I like that name. Cha-cha mango. Cha-cha mango. Hello, HG. Hello, cha-cha mango. You have said people assume you're older than what your actual age is. Do you get this comment in your real life that you sound older? Not really, because they can see me. So they then realize that I'm a twinkly-eyed 21-year-old, you see. KR, besides footy and concerts, what sort of social events do you enjoy? I enjoy a good dinner party. I enjoy going out for dinner. I enjoy attending the theatre. I enjoy attending educational talks and debates. Lulu's mom, my question is Sir Laurence Olivier or Tom Hardy as Heathcliff? I'd actually say neither of those, and I would go for Ralph Fiennes. I thought he was rather good. Zainab, besides your passport and other required stuffs for travelling, do you have a must-have when you travel? Yes, my kit, but I'm not telling you any more than that. But that must come with me also. That's important. Yes, Helen Howard, I can hold my bladder in bed. That's a distinct advantage, isn't it? Let me see. Anna Jackson, you need to plan another trip to Jersey so I can take you out to dinner to your favorite Italian restaurant. Well, that's very kind of you, Anna Jackson. Email me, and I'm sure, as Jean-Luc Picard said, we'll make it so. Patan, how many valid passports do you have? And if so, what nationalities are they? I'm going to decline to answer that. Adam's aunt, oh, come on, HG. HR is the perfect job for a narcissist. All HR heads I have met appeared to be. You mean the hardly relevant department? I think you might find that there is a preponderance of mid-range narcissists in there. The Tower. HG, have you ever visited Settle in North Yorkshire? I have. It is the start or end of the Settle to Carlisle Railway, which is one of the most beautiful railway routes in the sceptred isle that is the United Kingdom. V shares my loathing of Celine Dion. V, you are a person of wisdom and excellent taste. A more, do lower level narcissists believe they experience positive emotions, or are they aware that they only have negative emotions? No, they do believe that they experience positive emotions. So they believe they experience joy and happiness and elation, etc. Sharon R. Good afternoon, HG. Thank you for your unrivaled work on narcissism. You've helped people far and wide. You're very welcome. I'm pleased that you found it useful. Katie's thanking me for the amazing narc detector analysis. Yes, I did that not too long ago. Lima Echo, do you ever consider different periods of history through the lens of narcissism? Well, in effect, everything when it comes to interactions with people is considered through the lens of narcissism. I'm not sure what you mean when you're talking about different periods of history. Do you mean that I talk about it from a narcissistic perspective? I'm not quite sure what you mean. The Duchess of Camelot confirms that her cat, assuming you're female with Duchess, loves my voice. Absolutely. Wilson is next to an old geezer's bed chilling. I'm assuming Wilson is some kind of animal. TC announces, get the hell away from my pets. Pony says that his or her dogs like to listen to me. Yeah. Helen Howard is engaging in some blame shifting by saying that I'm making her cramps worse. I'm sure that's not the case. Svenja Haas, when you attend the concerts of Depeche Mode, are you enjoying them privately or are you in charge for their safety? Good question. Well, I can dispense with that one. I attend in a private capacity. I'm not there ensuring that Mr. Garn and Mr. Gore are protected. Duchess of Camelot, her cat hates my ex's voice. Yeah, she's not the only one, you know. Colleen Salong, thank you for considering an evaluation of the Wicked co-stars. I took one for clinically insane, and Ariana playing her like a fiddle. What do you think of the Jaguar commercial? Well, I used to have a couple of Jags, and I mean the cars, not the animals. And I was very pleased with them. And I think that the advertisement that they did just recently was, to use the technical description, an absolute steaming pile of shite. What are you selling? Cars. So sell the car. They used to design beautiful, sexy vehicles. Let the vehicle talk for itself. All this nonsense. I understand the CEO had a bit of a paddy whack and threw his rattle out of the pram, saying that they needed to extend their customer base. And that's true. But the problem is, you're at risk of extending it to nobody, because people will think what do you stand for, and you're going to alienate many of your existing customers. So I think it was an ill-advised move. And I have watched the advertisement, and I just thought to myself, nonsense, utter nonsense. Advertisements need to get back to the ones that would entertain, that would tell you about the product, but in a way which was humorous and entertaining. Those are the type of advertisements that work. Simon Thompson, HG, I love your content and delivery. You're in a class of your own. Indeed, I am. I am the Ultra, Simon. Thank you for witnessing that. I belong to HG. HG, not only could you eat your pet cow when you've had enough, that is true. You can milk her first. Of course, I milk everybody, you know. There's even a guy who paints with cow poo and sells the pictures. I bet he's called Pat, isn't he? An old geezer, what's your celebrity crush, HG? I don't really like celebrities. You see, when I think of celebrities, I think of vacuous clowns who have no appreciable talent. But if you're talking about famous, I don't really have a crush because I'm not 13 years old. But if there was somebody who I would like to make the beast with two backs, it would certainly be Uma Thurman. Your glorious narrator has admired her for quite some time. Squeegee Beckenheim agrees that James Corden, asshole, ruins everything he is in. Are any of you going to be watching the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special? Interestingly, I was observing somebody posted about it in a particular place, and most people were saying not going to bother because James Corden, asshole, is in it. Okay. Let me see. Zainab wants to know a bit of what James Corden, arsehole, did to you. He didn't do anything to me. It's the other way around. But his sheer presence is such that he invites a pathological dislike of the tool. Maureen Ingleston, HG, would you like to take on this one's wife and wipe the floor with her? The problem with her is she'd just start crying. She'd fall to the floor, sobbing, or more likely run away. It wouldn't be that particularly satisfying, you know, because it'd be far too easy. But I do have a new series that's coming, which links to this one's wife. I think you'll enjoy it. And I've undertaken a number of interviews in relation to it, which kind of touches on the issue of taking her on. I won't say anything more than that, but you'll enjoy it. It'll be coming out soon. Tasia Fox. Hi, HG. Hello. Have you ever used the song In Your Room by Depeche Mode to ensnare a victim? Good call. This appeared on Songs of Faith and Devotion, which was released in 1993. There was an original album version, which was particularly sensual and sultry. They then cranked up the rock factor with the release of it in January 1994. And they had a gatefold, which I think there was a Jeep mix or something. I prefer the album version, and a number of individuals have found themselves experiencing, shall we say, the bedroom skills of your glorious narrator with In Your Room playing in the background. Anna Jackson, will we ever hear the story behind the reason why HG hates James Corden arsehole so much? You will. I'm saving it for those memoirs, and you'll be entertained by the circumstances that it has come about. Let me see what else we have there. Patan is telling us that the Jag advert is trying to set a scene for the new model next year, but it's still crap. Marimar loves Alive with HG. Indeed. Now let's see if we can get the likes to increase. And a little bit on the low side, I would suggest. KR, you're absolutely right. Jaguar has ruined the badge with the remover of the growler. Although, of course, we don't want to see Narinder Kaur's growler, do we? That's a badly stuffed kebab, and we don't really want to see that. Lemon Trifle, do you think Harry has left this one's wife? The signs seem to be indicating that, don't they, given that they've not been seen together for such a long time. And it's interesting because ordinarily the narcissist is the one that disengages from the intimate partner primary source. That's the most common outcome in such circumstances. However, it's interesting with this one's wife because she would disengage if Harry broke down. That hasn't happened. She'd disengage if Harry became too difficult to control. That's a possibility, but he's not got there yet. The most likely one would be, of course, as if she met somebody else. But I think that she struggles in that regard because I think that although there are some dimwits who might be lured in by her demands in terms of status and finance means that she'll be aiming at a particular level. And let's look at it this way, entirely cynical but truthful. If you are an older man with lots of money in the bank, would you go for a chicken-legged, linebacker-shouldered nut job, or a pneumatic hard body who can suck a golf ball through 40 feet of hose pipe and still looks fresh as a daisy? You're going to go for the latter all day long, aren't you? So I think she'd struggle to get anybody. And therefore, that's why it's a possibility that Harry may well have made a break for the border. He may well have thought, do you know what? I'm starting to realize now who the problem is. Ames, HG, will you be taking your Christmas break, or can we look forward to your unrivaled content and perhaps a live stream over the holidays? Well, I will continue to be posting, although I will be spending time throwing snowballs and poisoning people's Christmas cake and all of those types of things, and burning their Christmas trees down, etc. No, there will be some times where I won't be around because I'll be making merry with Jack Frost nipping at my nose. The Tower, HG, have you always supported MCFC? Well, when I was born, I didn't know about football, so I didn't support them then. But ever since I've had an interest in football, which was from around the age of 5, they have been my team. So effectively, I've always supported them, apart from when I had no interest in football because I didn't know what it was. Lisa, I went to school with Corden, arsehole. Aha, and he lived on my street. Lisa, you have my condolences. You had to go to school with the wobbly, hot-haired arsehole, and he lived on your street. He was very unpleasant and used to bully younger kids. Why am I not surprised by that? He's always given me the impression that when it came to sports, he was picked last, and the big boys used to piss on him in the shower at school. Maybe you know about that. Maybe you can tell us about that. Margaret Mason is back. Ouch. HG, reading the comments on that episode, some believed it. Well, they do. But you see, there is a serious side to these things. Whilst I'm doing it to entertain and provide people with much needed amusement, it's also to encourage people to engage in some critical thinking. KR, can you knock up a greatest thumbnail calendar? That's a good idea. I like that. Maybe put it to the vote. Maybe people could send in their suggestions. I suppose there might be a This One's Wife calendar because there's so many videos about her. Could do 2, a This One's Wife one and a non-This One's Wife greatest thumbnail calendar. I like that suggestion. I'm sure that could be arranged, and you could offer me suggestions as to which ones you would like. Rebecca asks, why Uma Thurman? I think she's a fairly decent actress. She's tall. She's got a good rack on her. I like her figure. She looks like she'd be most receptive to a good spanking. And she always referred to herself as being like a hammerhead shark because I think she thinks her eyes are a little bit set apart. But I think that she's somebody that in the right hands would respond in a very pleasing way. So that's part of it. I think she's beautiful and responsive, and thus that is who I'd be attracted to. Gems, HG. Do you prefer The Cure or U2? Between those two, I'd go for U2. Pat Ann, you've told us that you hate physical contact. Well, not necessarily hate it. For instance, if I'm having sex with somebody, I don't hate that. What I dislike is uninitiated physical contact. And you're right, I prefer not to be hugged. How do you feel about shaking hands? That's okay, because that's a formal greeting, and invariably I've decided to shake somebody's hand. And if I don't want to shake somebody's hand, I won't. HG, what were some of your favorite 80s adverts? Some of mine were Clark's Magic Steps, Monster Munch, Nescafe series. Now, I was only a young boy, so I don't really remember many of the advertisements in the 80s that well. The Nescafe series, what was that? It was a series about coffee, was there? You have to tell me more about that. Monster Munch, I'm familiar with that as a processed snack masquerading as crisps. Pickled onion isn't there? Not amused. HG, are you right or left-handed? I can use my hands, different hands for different tasks. I wouldn't say that I'm ambidextrous in the truest of senses, because nobody is. You have one hand that's dominant. So my left hand is dominant for certain things. For instance, if I was in a fight, I would lead with my left. I write with my left hand. I shoot with my left hand. I use scissors with my right hand. Which hand do I wipe my bottom with? Neither. I use toilet paper. Ha ha! Boom, boom. There we are. Okay, what else have we got? Covered in cat fur. Would you say there are narcissistic countries? Well, no. A country can't be narcissistic. I think that certain countries may have narcissistic cultures. There is that. The country itself can't be narcissistic. Gorilla BFF. She needs a 90-year-old billionaire, Anna Nicole style at this point. She does. But as I just made the point earlier, Gorilla BFF, if you are that 90-year-old billionaire, you're going to go for the Anna Nicole, aren't you? A busty blondie. You're not going to go for someone whose tits are flat as a witch's. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but if you know you're on your way out as a billionaire, you're going to want someone who's pneumatic, somebody that's easy on the eye. You're not going to go for someone who basically looks like she's going to moan and, as Susan Durr says, pee on your snowman. Yeah, I think that'd be right. Patan, can you play chess? Yes, I can. If so, are you good at it? Yes, I am. Do I enjoy it? I enjoy winning. Do I play often? No. And with who? It varies. Francis Patron, HG, when you see and hear our so-called leaders, do you think, oh my God, the world is being ruled by fucking lesser mid-rangers, no wonder the world is becoming a shit show? No, I don't actually. I don't think that. There are some lessers and mid-rangers that have got themselves into that position, but many of them are actually greaters also. Susan Durr, holiday cheer for HG entertainment possibilities. Thank you very much. V wants the calendar. I think that's a great idea. Lima Echo, you have some fantastic surrealist thumbnails. Yes, I do. Chris Boozy Beth likes the ones with Omid Scabies with his nose covered in shite. He's gone very quiet at the moment, hasn't he, Omid? Not particularly a problem. Hematomas. What's happened to Doria, HG? I understand that she rolled a massive doobie, is a bit like the Camberwell carrot in Withnail and I, and she got medicined to the extent that she went on a munchie rampage and ate so much she got stuck in a door frame, and she's just having to remain there until she slims down so they can remove her I understand that's the case. Maureen Ingerston, HG, please tell us what percentage you believe the hardcore kids exist. Well, I think that they do exist. My view is that I think they exist because I just find it extraordinary that you would embark on having the entire royal family complicit in the non-existence of children, and at some point in the future, not necessarily this one's wife thinking about this, but Harry, that people would actually think to see them, because you can run the we're keeping them private whilst they're young. But even, for instance, Michael Jackson's kids, who were brought up for a while by an utter weirdo, you get to see them and know who they are. So one would have thought that, Harry, I know he's a dimwit, but even he would think to himself, what, you're saying we pretend the kids exist, but what about when they get older and people want to see them? So I think it's more likely that they do exist, but it was a surrogacy situation. I think there's some force in that. Amos, any of the thumbnails with Harry wearing a prop hat would work. Yes, well, he's a legend of aviation. Rebecca, HG, do you still have your pet snake? He's with me now, although the beast is sleeping at the moment. He might spring into action later, dependent on what I decide to do. Mary Ma, HG, do you celebrate Christmas? I do. I enjoy Christmas. It's ripe opportunity for the playing of games. Am I religious? Well, I went to a religious school. I was brought up to believe. I will believe where I deem that it is appropriate, but it is not my default setting. The Duchess of Camelot observes, so you didn't like the dish soap commercial. Is that the one that was created by Procter & Gamble, but they had to change it because there was an 11-year-old feminist who decided that she didn't like the content of it? Somebody was just asking me, do I have a most loved coffee? I don't, because I'm not a big coffee drinker. I'm cross-dominant. Is that what the description is with regards to it? Left hand does mean sinister, and right hand means dexter. Nixaline, why are you guys asking weird questions? Why are you asking a weird question, Nixaline? That's what we're going to be focusing on. Were you ever forced, asked V, to sit on Santa's knee in the shops when little? If so, what did you do to him? I told him I didn't believe in him, and he vanished. HG's the milk tray man. No, I'm not. I'd turn up with something much better than a box of fucking chocolates, believe me. Debbie, hi HG, loving the new channel. I'm delighted that you are. Royal fans, a proud southpaw. You go. Anna Jackson, HG, will you be continuing with the Educating HG and If You Go Into the Woods series? Yes, I will be doing. I'm contemplating that I'm going to make it all available at once in the content of a book and an audio book so that you can binge it rather than you necessarily waiting. I think that's probably the way that I'm going to go with that. What else do we have here? Elizabeth Weaver confirms that I have said in the past that I have enjoyed chess. Maureen Ingleston confirms that she's ambidextrous also. HG, your left eye is the dominant one. I'm actually Cyclops. I just have one eye in the center of my forehead, you see. Teresa Brown, I thought they were green. I'm going to keep saying that because it just amuses me, even if it doesn't amuse anybody else. 10% of the world's population are left-handed. That's right. The Tower, have you ever done any modeling? Do you mean I have created a model to make a determination, or where I have modeled for somebody? Perhaps you would clarify in that regard. JC, HG, when someone threatens a lawsuit when asked when they will finish working on a vehicle, are they likely a narcissist? No, not necessarily, but it is a rather aggressive response. Patan, you said you'd written 5 historical fantasy novels. How successful were they? Well, plenty of people have read them. We're not talking multi-million sales, but they have been read by a number of people and received very favorably. Chris Boozy Beth, what type of narcissist is Kia? Go and use the Knowing the Narcissist package available in the Knowledge Vault. Lisa, to be fair, I think Corden arsehole got bullied himself. Yeah, we used to laugh at him when he ran home and got his sister to come out and stick up for him. Did he have a nickname when he was at school? Rebecca HG, could you growl for us using earphones? How do I growl using earphones? What do I do with the earphones? Do I stick them in my mouth and they make me growl? Royal fan HG, you shoot with your left hand. Who do you shoot? I have a hit. Can I hire you? That's very naughty if you're going to do that. Pat, you have great questions, suggests Amos, and well done. Lauren Cameron, I can see you wearing a Tudor watch when you're using one of your other names. Absolutely. That I actually got David Beckham to advertise them on my behalf as a consequence of my investment in that. HG, do you have a favorite place to be and where is it? Inside my meat suit. I'm perfectly content with that. I do like to be in castles. I enjoy the history, you see. KR, you have to have the why am I doing this thumbnail with the mask for January. Okay. Alaska, do we think HG is wearing a smoking jacket tonight or a DJ? Well, as I pointed out earlier in the advertising video for this live stream, I did suggest that I would be putting on my best smoking jacket. It's a beautiful sapphire blue that sets off my eyes perfectly if you were able to see them. I belong to HG. If you had to pick one, would you rather tell someone you know in real life about your blog world identity or meet one of the Tudorites and reveal at least part of your real life identity? I would like to meet one or more of the Tudorites. At some point, I would like to put faces to names. Of course, I've done that with some people who send me pictures of themselves or they've consulted with me and they've come on camera. But it would be enjoyable. I've toyed with at some future point when I cease doing what I do professionally and a suitable cooling off period has taken place, that I would probably organize. There's an attraction of doing sort of like a bit of a lecture circuit thing. However, I think what I'd be more likely to do is arrange for a select groups of individuals to join me for dinner. And so I'd move around the table chatting with everybody. So Tudorites can meet Tudorites, and you also get to meet me, and I entertain you, and we have good food and wine, etc. And everybody has a rare old time. Marimar, HG, do you have a green thumb? Let me look. Left one? No. Right one? No. I'm not interested in gardening. And certainly not uphill gardening, I would point out before Zainab jumps in to suggest that. Alberto 2001, what is your favorite Christmas food? I like to roast some chestnuts on an open fire and then have Jack Frost nip at my nose before turning around and taking a hefty bite out of an empath. But if you mean in terms of traditional Christmas foods, it's turkey. Not only is it pretty good for you, but I actually do enjoy the taste of it. And I do rather enjoy a couple of days' worth of turkey sandwiches as well. Flapper, HG, we have ideas for a calendar. No, I'm not doing a naked calendar with fruit judiciously held in front of the Tudor crown jewels. But if you want to furnish me with the slops of your delinquent minds that you've been engaging in relation to your chats, do feel free to email me those ideas. Helen Howard is simply fascinated by my pet snake. I believe you are, you little bundle of Titian delightfulness. Covered in cat fur, do you think Harry will get custody in an eventual divorce? That's an interesting one. That would certainly be a particular cat fight. On the one hand, this one's wife, as you know, she doesn't love the kids because she is a narcissist. She would want to be seen as a mum for the purposes of facade management. But ultimately, believe me, if it came down to her getting a huge payoff, so the custody actually went with Harry, she'd go along with that because money's more important to her than her children. That's the nature of the somatic narcissist. Lulu's mum is confirming that nothing is weird here. Absolutely. SM, does HG do book signings? Well, I don't turn up sitting in a branch of Waterstones waiting for people to come along and go, I'm your greatest fan, HG. And I go, oh, that's nice. Thank you very much. What would you like me to sign it to? But I have signed books for people in the past. The only issue with that is, as an ice cream delivery man into high conflict areas, I'm not often near post offices. So what I've done for people in the past is agreed a fee for the provision of a book with a particular signing, and then I will send it to them. But you often have to wait quite a while until such time as I happen to be near a post office, because I'm so often on the move or in the middle of nowhere, not near any. Let me see what else we have here. Emma Termes, HG, do you like painting? You know, there's nothing more that I enjoy than getting down with my main man has-beens. And we break out the old potato prints, carve some shapes into them, and then dunk them in some paint and make pretty patterns across the paper. Oh, do we giggle and laugh like hyenas as we create works of art together. It then ends up where we then start sticking the paint on one another. And it's at this point that Harry invariably tries to tweak one of my nipples and I break his fingers. Hey, Gave, I met HG. Did you now? Do tell me about it, because I seem to have suffered a lapse in memory about that occasion. You perhaps weren't as memorable as you think that you were. The Tower is asking, have I modeled for a catalogue? What, you mean Kay's catalogue or something like that? No, I have not. Sue, educating HG as an audiobook is a great idea. I like to listen to the episodes as I fall asleep. Yes, there's lots of people that fall asleep to my voice, which I take as a compliment. I don't take it as an insult. It is those stentorian tones lulling you away to the land of Nod. I rather like the idea that I join so many of you in bed at night. Mm-hmm. What else do we have here? Alberto 2001. I would buy HG audiobooks. Absolutely. I need to read Smeared, but have been busy. Well, try and find some time to do so. Rani H71. Back again with the chemical for the Uber villain. Hello again, HG. Hello again, Rani H71. If someone gets one up on you, well, we might as well stop there, because that's not going to happen. Always you. Hello, HG. Have you ever been a DJ on a radio station? Not Alf. All right, pop pickers. Your humor is brilliant. It is. Thank you very much. And you're very quick with responding to people. Thank you for that. I appreciate the compliment. No, I've not been a DJ on a radio station, but do you know what? I would rather enjoy doing that. I've thought about at some point setting it up so that we could have a kind of call that you could have a phone in. It would be one part Frasier, really, and then 3 parts narcissistic psychopath. But I would enjoy that. And now we have Betty from Hull. What is it, HG? What is it? What's the problem, Betty? Hello, HG. I've got this rash. Wrong phone here, I'm afraid, Betty. Well, I'll help you with your other problems. I think that I would rather enjoy doing that, and I'd certainly enjoy being a DJ. I remember when I was younger, and as a student job that I had, it was working in a department store. And I worked in the audio section as such. And I worked alongside a lovely young lady. She's very pretty, little English rose. And amazingly, she loved Ozzy Osbourne, which really didn't fit with the way that she looked. And on a Thursday evening, when it was late night, we were allowed to put on what music we wanted. So I'd put Depeche Mode on, as you'd expect. That was okay. She would put Ozzy Osbourne on, and then we get all of the other departments ringing up saying, will you turn that off, please? It's horrible, because it got piped around the rest of the store. I didn't work there for long. It was a bit boring, actually, and I didn't like the uniform. CSW, HG, do you have any immediate plans for more videos on psychopaths? Yes, there's plenty more in the pipeline, so rest easy. Alaska, can you please say spicy poontang? I just did, but would you like me to say it like this? Spicy poontang. Lemony Snicket, series of misadventures, asks, was Anne Boleyn a narcissist? Again, I direct you to the Note the Narcissist package. It's in the Knowledge Vault. It's 50% off at the moment. Go and fill your boots and you get all of those questions answered. Maureen Ingleston, we should all thank HG for educating us on narcissism. Huzzah! Hear, hear, I say so. Super thanks until you burst. The Tower, HG, have you ever done the caterpillar dance at a wedding night do? No. Lulu's mum, I look like Partridge Family when I'm really NIN. I have no idea what that means. Diana Kirkpatrick is eating turkey leftovers right now. Well, as you ought to be doing. That would make sense. Seeing as it was Thanksgiving yesterday. Rebecca means growl for us. What? Growl for the United States. Why does the United States need me to growl for them? CSW, what would we have to do to be selected for dinner at Tudor Towers? We might as well start planning for the future. Well, first of all, you need to have clean nails. That's important. Neatly trimmed and clean. Any dirt under them, and I'll chop your hands off. You need to be somebody, basically, who can hold a conversation. After all, I don't want somebody who's there slack-jawed, looking like they've been roofied. That's not going to be any fun. And ultimately, of course, you would need to make a payment, residual benefit. And after all, you'd need to pay your way for dinner also. I'm not going to be cooking it, I'll tell you that much. Lara G1, hi HG, did you attend Lady C's ball last year? No, I did not. JC, HG, what do you think of the Trump, Vance and Musk team? Do you think they will be successful? Well, one can argue that they've been successful already with Trump being re-elected. I am going to do a video about how the Donald and his first friend, Elon, and the potential for them to fall out, which I think you'll find interesting. But I think they will meet with success. Teresa Brown, I thought they were green. HG is flirty this evening. Oh, come now. We all know you're flirting with me. I'm just simply being my charismatic self. Emma Terms, I like the idea of HG doing a naughty podcast. What do you mean? Like not eating my broccoli and smearing jam on a window, that kind of naughty? Or are you thinking something else? Something spicier? Something more sensual? Something that has you frothing like a beckoned storm? Lauren is shining, has made it. Huzzah! Lauren, we're all delighted that you have come here. Marley, have you had time for your idea of profiling Schwab? I have the material pulled together for that. So he's waiting in line to go under the Tudoscope, but the material that has been pulled together for the examination. Canadian girl, if one was to purchase a plane ticket for you to visit them, would you jump on the opportunity or not take the ticket? So you're saying if you bought me a ticket to come and visit you, would I jump at the opportunity? At the appropriate time, I would accede to that generosity, absolutely. At the moment, I couldn't because I still need to protect my identity. Maureen Ingleston loves Turkey. Have you ever been there? It can get very hot. I belong to HG. Do you envisage any problems once you start working in your profession with finding an outlet for what you get to do there in a socially accepted manner? That's an excellent question, actually. That's why I've continued to do it. I could have stopped some time ago, but I find it so stimulating. I have shifted the emphasis of what I do, but nevertheless, I don't think that I would ever fully stop at times, because I do find it stimulating, but I recognize there comes a point where I would have to. It would actually make sense. I would find other outlets. I think I would then move more into other fields. You see, I have a variety of different interests, and there's something that I do which is the main thing that I do professionally with other stuff around the edges. I'd probably do more of the stuff around the edges instead. Susan Short, please keep inserting Latin quotes in your chats. It's refreshing to hear intelligence returning to the internet. Thank you. I appreciate that. So you'd like to hear more of modus operandi and res ipsa loquitur, that kind of thing, and non volente fit indura. Certainly, I will endeavour to do that for you. Elizabeth Weaver, HG, what do you tell your family you do professionally? I tell them that I'm a DJ for hospital radio, not half. Emma Tomes, HG has got the most lovely voice. I have. And you know something? It's getting a little bit dry. It's really the Dirts Fund needs a little bit of help. KR, thank you for your super thanks. I'm pleased that you enjoyed it. But yes, if you'd like to contribute to the Dirts Fund to ensure that it's a fizztastic Christmas for the Ultra, you can drop a super thanks my way. And that could be your little way of saying, thanks, HG, for entertaining me all through the year. I'd like you to settle back once Christmas comes with a cold, delicious glass of Dirts, maybe enabling me to buy a case of the stuff. So that it is a holly jolly Christmas at Tudor Towers. Because after all, if it's purchased by somebody else, it always tastes better, doesn't it? Let me see what else is being asked here. Helen Howard is telling us that there's nothing wrong with some homoerotic body art. We'll take your word for it. Lauren is shining, wakes up to me, so she's sarcastic and sassy all day. Well, it's better than waking up and striking a match and lighting a cigarette. Sharon R. HG, we spend so many nights together, you whispering in my ear more often than I care to admit. Well, feel free to admit it aplenty. Wanda Adcox, thank you for your donation to the Dirts Fund. That is appreciated. And ditto, not amused. Happy Christmas, Daddy. Oh, goodness me. Are you one of the kids coming back to haunt me? Rebecca, thank you very much for your donation to the Dirts Fund. That is appreciated. Alberto, 2001, HG Tudor's music episodes are excellent. They are, aren't they? I'm glad that you like them. Alberto, thank you for your donation to the Dirts Fund. That is appreciated. It looks like the Ultra may start to enjoy some lubrication. No, Zainab, not in that way. Settle down, please. Marimar falls asleep to my voice too. Emma Tones, what is your favorite cocktail, HG? It's a vodka martini. Always you. Thank you, HG. I appreciate your answer. You're very welcome. No problem at all. The Tower, thank you for your contribution to the Dirts Fund. That is appreciated. Ditto the Duchess of Camelot. I think our first bottle has been secured. Thank you so much. Let's drive it forward for a case. You never know. If you're really good, I might actually talk to you whilst I'm quaffing a bottle. Cameron Copus, is Greg Wallace a narc? Well, one can understand why you would ask that. After all, he's featured heavily. An old geezer, thank you for your contribution also. You would think, perhaps, that Greg Wallace may well be a narcissist, given the recent disclosures about his behavior. For people who are not familiar, Greg Wallace is a presenter of MasterChef, and he's been doing it for, I think, for about 20 years. And there are some that say basically he's a bit of a dinosaur and his sort of carry-on style humor hasn't been appreciated, i.e., yesterday's humor is being viewed in today's eyes. There are others that say that basically he's a bit of a twat and he's always behaved rather badly, with the consequence that this has resulted in people piling on. Is he a narcissist? Well, you're going to have to use Know the Narcissist. Paul, Claus, and Jaws, thank you for your contribution to the Dirts Fund. It's most welcome. Fool Me One Time. How lovely to see you here, Fool Me One Time. I hope you're in fine fettle, and thank you for your contribution also. Ditto Barb. That's great. We must surely be getting fairly close to a second bottle. You might get to hear a squiffy HG over the Christmas period. How exciting would that be? Sonia Kriko-Karpik. HG, when do you think the aware narcissists usually become self-aware? What age is approximately? Is it too late for them to become self-aware? Well, it's basically, as I found, I always knew that I was different. I didn't know that I was an aware narcissist, say when I was 11 years old, but I knew I was different. So I think essentially the awareness of being different and knowing the delight in manipulation and getting off on people's reactions is something that one comes aware of in one's teens. Enid C. HG, you once did some work for NASA. Well, I can't really tell you any more about that. Duchess of Camelot, why do you feel your need to protect your identity? Because if I revealed who I was, it would result in what I do professionally becoming more difficult. Because I'm not stupid, I don't want there to be increased threats to my control, you see. I don't want that to be the case. I want to ensure that I remain effective. So by protecting my identity, I prevent those threats to control from manifesting. Francis Patron, thank you for your donation to the Dirts Fund. That's most kind of you. I'm just scrolling down. Yes, Rebecca, that's right. I've got to protect my voice. Mad About Dogs. Hello, HG. Hello, Mad About Dogs. Which of your videos is the best to help my friend support her son after he's been disengaged from by his narcissist girlfriend? I think the best thing that your friend could actually do would be to organize an audio consultation, because it's not just about shunting a video in front of the son. There's more to it than that. There's a different approach that's needed to ensure that effectiveness. So what I would encourage is that she books an audio consultation with me. I can then coach her in the most appropriate way to provide that support and nominate the relevant videos so that can be used as part of that process. As I say, it's not just a case of saying, here, watch this. It has to be more sophisticated than that. Alaska, is our time together coming to a sad end soon? Why, Alaska? Are you disappearing? Are you going to go somewhere else? Helen Howard, I love you, HG. I can pay you in other ways. Such a tantalizing offer there from the Titian Terror. Now, what else have people got to ask me? Tasha Fox, thank you, HG, for this chat. You're very welcome. Lemon Trifle, HG, does this one's wife have a drug problem too? I should imagine that she has indulged. Is it a problem? Well, she's wealthy enough to pay for it, so it isn't an issue in that respect. Has it caused her a problem with regard to her interactions with other people? Quite possibly. I don't think she's at the stage of being, a junkie hanging outside of Tesco asking for money. I think, though, however, that she's somebody that has dabbled with drugs, which, many narcissists do because it's a fuel substitute, and also because we know Harry likes them. It wouldn't surprise me that she would indulge as part of using it as a means of controlling him as well. Flapper27, thank you very much for that hefty donation, which almost purchases a bottle of Dirts of itself. That's very generous of you. Thank you very much. That is most kind of you. Susan Dua, you are engaging, HG. I am. Alaska is telling me that she or he, are you a she, are you a he, that you are just getting started. Well, that's good to know. The Tower, HG, if your nephew was involved with a narcissist, would you offer them advice? I would do, but I wouldn't do it in a way which would show me to be an expert about narcissism and psychopathy, because I'm not going to blow my cover, am I? Kathy Newton, have you ever been to Texas? Yes. If yes, did you like us? Absolutely. Texas is a great place. I belong to HG. Would you rather have Depeche Mode record and regularly play one of your compositions, or have Martin Gore on speed dial to hang out with whenever you want? I would go for them record and play one of my compositions, because then it would go out to a much larger audience. And that would also mean that that would be something that would be part of a legacy as well. Lulu's mom, I may have missed this, but is there a particular part of America you'd like to visit? Well, the United States is a fantastic country with great people. And it's such a large place, of course. It's diverse in terms of its geography and culture. I'd quite like to go to Alaska, have a look there, just to see what effect of not being part of the main continent of the United States has upon it, and also to see its geography, because I imagine much of it's rather beautiful. But there's lots of different places in the United States that one would like to go to, but that's one that pops up. Patan, you said that you operate as HG through. Oh, it's just jumped. Let me find that again. Bear with me one moment. There we are. You've said that you operate as HG through agents or gatekeepers. Do these people know who you really are, or as one of your aliases? They know a name that is associated with HG Tudor, which is another alias. So when people are very kind and purchase gifts for my birthday month or at Christmas, and it's jolly generous of them, I provide them with one of the gatekeeper addresses. It sometimes changes, sometimes I use the same one. And then the relevant gatekeeper then sends it on to another place, which is under a particular name, which isn't my real name, where I can then get it from. So it goes through a process which maintains that distance, and also, of course, ensures that any cakes that are sent to me are tested so that nobody poisons me. No, I'm only joking. Nobody would do that. And old geezer thinks that Tao is definitely a coke head. I think if she were a drug user, I think that would probably be her drug of choice. Teresa Brown, surely they're green. I just want to say, HG, thank you. After listening to your videos about narcissism, I've come to understand my narcissistic father. I've also decided to forgive him. Well, that's a matter for you, but I wouldn't bother forgiving him. I just no contact him. Alaska is a she. Good to know. Made a note in my book. Sherry Teller. HG, can you please shed some light on something? Hang on, let me get my flashlight of exposure. There we are. This one's wife gave Princess Catherine a pair of short scissors for gardening and crafts, and then the next year, a knife. Can I shed any light on that? I can't shed any light on that. I don't know if that was the case. Anna Jackson. HG, do you ever get tempted by attractive profile pictures of your followers with a view to finding them and meeting them in the flesh, but using a different identity? Well, I have many attractive followers, and they do send me pictures, which is very nice of them. And there's no doubt that certain of my followers, viewers, readers, I wouldn't mind spending some time with. For some, that's because I find them interesting. For others, I freely admit that one would like to do the no pants dance with them. Would it be the case that I would find them and meet them in the flesh but use a different identity? No, in actual fact, I think I would want them to know that it was me. That would be more fun. It would be a bit odd because I would want them to know that this was the great H.G. Tudor that they were meeting. I think I may have mentioned that last year when I watched Depeche Mode at Twickenham, one of my long-standing clients and readers and viewers, she was there. And I did mention to her, because we exchanged correspondence beforehand, because she knows that I'm a Depeche Mode fan. She was telling me I'm flying across to Britain to watch them. And she said, I'm going to Twickenham. And I said, yes, so am I. I said, how would you react if all of a sudden you heard a voice? Because I know what she looks like. If you heard a voice behind you saying her name and saying, hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. And then I'd suddenly melt away into the crowd as she suddenly turned around. She explained how that would be thoroughly exciting for her. And who knows, maybe she spent the entire concert waiting for that little tap on the shoulder and that stentorian voice whispering in her ear. As it was, there were, I think, 40,000 people there. So she didn't give me a seat number, so I didn't actually detect her. Lauren is shining. Thank you for your donation to the Dirts Fund. That is most kind of you. Let me see what else. Chris Boozy Breath. Due to your advice, HG, I've trained my kids about narcissism already. Bravo. Good for you. Duchess of Camelot. Can you teach this one's wife to be more effective narcissist, i.e. undetectable? I think you mean, should we chuck her off a cliff? I think that's what we'd much prefer. Per Ardua ad Astra. What a nice surprise. Woke up to live. G'day. from Oz. G'day, Dan Under. Let's see. Q. Hello, Q. Good to see you popping in. Always a pleasure to hear from Q, top man. Hey, HG, is Zelensky still going under the Tudoscope, please? Yes. The reason I hadn't proceeded with that is there's such a massive material that I needed to knock it all into shape. And then basically other matters overtook it. But it's going to be interesting with regard to the findings of it, particularly in light of now Trump coming to power and how that might impact. So I'm possibly thinking, or rather I am thinking about holding off to see what happens when Trump comes in, because that's going to have an impact on how Zelensky will react to it all. As you may know, Zelensky has now suggested that he might cede Ukrainian territory, which is something that's integral to the analysis also. JC, HG, do you think the next Invictus Games be the Harry's Wife show again, or will Harry prevent it next time? Is this the one that's going to take place at Whistler and such like? It is, isn't it? Or will it be the Harry's Wife show? I think there's a good chance it won't be, because they won't be together. So that would mean no. Lulu's mum, Alaska is so rugged and beautiful. Sounds just like me. I would like to see that as well. Good choice. Thank you very much. CSW, what was the strangest gift you've ever received from a viewer? That's an interesting question. I've received a multiplicity of gifts. I've had envelope openers. I've had fragrance. I've had underwear sent to me. Bit Tom Jones, isn't it? I've had people send me books. I've had people paint pictures for me. I've had somebody send me a phrenology head. I've had all manner of different things sent to me. The strangest. I think probably the strangest will have been a painting of what somebody thought I look like, embracing them. And I know what they look like. So the picture of them was an accurate representation, but they decided they were going to paint me and them in an embrace, which is not dead strange, but is a little bit unusual. It's more unusual than, say, sending me a nice bottle of something. So that's the one that immediately comes to mind. Educon, hi HG, hello. Any thoughts on Conor McGregor? Massive twat. Pat Ann, this is a two-part question. You said in a live some time ago that you enjoy sexting. Yes, I find it a useful method of asserting control, obtaining stimulation, gaining fuel. First part is with whom? Well, it's with individuals. So it might be someone who's a candidate intimate partner secondary source. It might be an intimate partner secondary source. It could be a tertiary source. It might be someone that I've not met. So the point is that engaging in such sexting is entertaining, and it can be done with a variety of different appliances. Alaska tells us she's not rugged at all. She's soft terrain. Well, and exotic. Gost account. What attracts you more, beauty or brains? Both, and I have both. Not in terms of I'm beautiful and brainy. I'm handsome and brainy. What I mean is I want both in the people that I select. Adams are Depeche Mode concerts suddenly swell in numbers of attendees. Trisha Harding. Nor snakker du norsk. Well, I know a little bit of Norsk, but min norsk er begrenset. I enjoyed the clips of DM concerts HG shared. Thank you. I'm glad that you did. Zelensky used to be a comedian. That's correct. Alberto's looking forward to that analysis also. Half Moon. Hi, HG. Why do you think the Sussex kids are hidden? Perhaps because they are less cute than Wales kids. I've mentioned in videos why this is. There's a possibility that they might not come up to the standards that this one's wife would expect, but I think what it's more likely is down to this. She's not maternal, and her misfiring cognitive empathy isn't able to make her be maternal. So the consequence of that is that there is a risk to her that if she were to appear in public with them, you remember when she appeared in that video with Archie when he had a really full nappy diaper on and was half dressed, which kind of showed her parenting skills weren't that good. And she was almost sort of clinging on to him. Well, she was able to do that because he was just a small baby at that juncture. I think now she would struggle to control them because of the lack of this maternal instinct. And her narcissism recognizes that as a potential threat to control, therefore heads it off the pass. Also, and the biggest reason, she'll be upstaged by them because she's made a rod for her own back by not allowing them to be seen. So there's a lot of interest in wanting to see them, so that if they did appear, people would be far more interested in them than her. And of course, no narcissist wants to be upstaged in that regard. Joker's Muppet Masterclass, a narcissist on coke, and here we go. Indeed, it is a heady brew. That much has to be said. Lauren is shining. Do you think Rach the Roach will go full Amber, poo on the bed, heard when the divorce proceedings kick off? I've no idea if she's going to pinch a loaf and pop it into the bed. I don't think that she would. Alberto 2001, is there any sort of gift you prefer from Tudorites? Yes. Could you make it so that I could adopt a little fluffy animal that is in need of some love? That would melt my cast iron frozen heart. No, in actual fact, is there any sort of gift you prefer from Tudorites? Your continued and unending loyalty, naturally. If you're talking about a physical gift, well, you don't necessarily have to do that, but Creed is always very welcome. But as I've mentioned, contributions to the Dirts Fund are the way that you can express your love for the Ultra. And you can do it now, you see. And we can get a lovely case of the delicious champagne for me. And that is entirely satisfactory for me. Thank you very much. Amy Dine has just turned up. Better late than never, as they say, but better that you were on time in the first place. Elizabeth Weaver, HG as the Ultra, do you experience the distorted perspective you describe other narcissists as having? I have my perspective of the world, which of course is different from other people's perspectives. I see the world through the lens of my psychopathy and my narcissism. It is not as distorted as that of unaware narcissists, because I have a greater ability to fit in, that I am not as deluded as they are. And thus, as a consequence of that, I naturally have a different perspective, like anybody does, but mine is not as deluded as theirs because of my higher executive function. So it makes a difference there. Susan, thank you so much for your contribution to the Dirts Fund. That is also appreciated. Damsel in distress, why would you advise your nephew? Surely you wouldn't be out of caring. Absolutely right. But my nephew's an extension of me. He's an asset, and I protect my assets until such time as they're no use to me. At the current time, I would deem that he's an asset worth protecting, and therefore, in the circumstances, I would provide him with the advice. The advice would enable me to assert control over him and draw fuel from him by way of a response. It would also be the case that I would enjoy fucking up the narcissist that he's involved with. Remember, I owe no loyalty to my kind. Alaska, this is the best Friday night I've had in ages. Thanks, HG and Cheryl. I'm delighted that that's the case, that you're enjoying your Friday evening. What else have we got? Be careful in Alaska, HG, cautions SM. There are crazy billionaires there that like to hunt humans. Don't worry about that. I'm used to being placed in situations of danger as an ice cream delivery man in high conflict areas. It's necessary that I utilize evasive techniques and counter attack strategies to ensure that I don't fall prey of those individuals. But your concern is noted. Janine Miller, Your best one, I love HG, is when you say, "He broke my necklace." It gets you every time. It would appear then I have got you. What else do we have here as a mother? What mum says that before talking about her kids? Well, precisely. Q's popped up again. Top man. Related to earlier question about countries, I've come to the conclusion that third world countries are more likely to have a higher percentage of narcissists due to a more prevalent lack of control environmental for kids. I think there is some force in that, Q. Of course, in some first world countries where there is an emphasis on competition and basically competitiveness, that also presents rather a lack of control environment. But there is certainly force with regard to your observation about third world countries, or less developed countries, as I believe that they're known. Lemon Trifle. HG, do you think Harry will be in trouble with the P. Diddy scandal? Well, he'd been named in a lawsuit, but peripheral. It's certainly the case that he's had some involvement with P. Diddy. We've seen them photographed together. It certainly would not be a surprise that the ginger dimwit, who's a bit of a hedonist, could have got caught up in one of the parties. I did come by way of some intelligence in relation to Harry, and I'm not going to breach the confidence of the person that told me this information. But if what this individual told me is correct, Harry would be in very serious trouble, which would see him going to prison. Whether that will happen is an entirely different matter. But the piece of intelligence that was provided to me would suggest that what he'd done was particularly bad. Anna Jackson, HG, when writing articles on your blog, you change the names of the people involved, I believe. Yes. When choosing alternative names of these people, do you ever use the names of your followers? Well, I do, but not consciously. So, for instance, I will pick names which also happen to be the names of my followers, but I don't think, oh, right, this person is one of my followers, so I'll use their name as an alternative. It's just coincidence. Maria Blenkin. Hi, HG. Hello, Maria. What would this one's wife prefer? Keeping her title forever or marrying an 86-year-old billionaire? I would think that at this juncture, she would go for the billionaire because she'll have milked the title as far as she can, and it's only going to sustain her so far. And money is hugely important to her as a somatic narcissist. So basically, she would want to marry an 86-year-old billionaire and then hop on him, ride him into oblivion, and then inherit all of his money, rather. Maleficent, not medic goddess. Where does one apply to drink said aforementioned champagne? What do you mean? You just go and buy some. You don't have to apply for it. Well, you can do a super thanks if you want to get me some, but you don't need to apply to drink it. You can just order it. It's in plentiful supply in appropriate outlets. Lemony Snicket, can you do more parodies with the late Queen interacting with the Snarkles? I love these, and maybe Princess Anne as well. Well, do you know what, Lemony Snicket? I'd be delighted to do so. But some alarming information came my way earlier that people thought that this one's wife had actually telephoned me. That they thought that was actually true. So if I create these parodies, there's a real risk that these poor souls may well think that the Queen has come back to life and is talking to Harry and this one's wife. And that could melt their brains. And wouldn't that be a terrible, terrible thing? I think I have to demonstrate some responsibility here, don't I? Wouldn't you agree? Hello, Swinging A. Always a pleasure to see you swinging by. Do you see what I did there? CSW, HG, what's the longest friendship you've had? Decades. I've got friends from my childhood who I still remain friends with. I think I mentioned in one of my videos, this time last week I hooked up with a number of my long-standing school friends and we had a rare old time. It was a fantastic evening. Lulu's mum, my husband just asked who I was talking to. I usually wear headphones. Are you talking out loud, Lulu's mum? How delightful. As I'm talking to you, are you answering me live? Why not? Why not? Rebecca suddenly needs some ice cream delivered. What flavour? And I'll see what I can do. Amos, HG, will we have another sugars? Do you mean let's all laugh at the sugars? The problem with that is I need some material. And you know what? It's very much in short supply. A few months ago, I did a video, you may recall, about where have they gone. They very much have disappeared off the map. I very rarely get any comments, which tells me that either they're not paying the bots like they once were, most likely. Do you remember there was one individual that would pop up with, and you knew it was them because they used the same phraseology, but they had lots of different names? That person eventually disappeared. But they really don't pop up with any regularity whatsoever. There may be some that I don't see, but usually particular keywords, for instance, if they use racist, it gets flagged for moderation. So I see them. And I do that on purpose so that I can strip that out, so that I can keep the comment for the purposes of a let's all laugh at the sugars, whilst at the same time denying them the airtime. So it works rather well. And I haven't seen many of their comments at all. So they seem to have dwindled, which suggests that many of them were actually bots in the first place. I belong to HG. Do you like to have your ice cream, either the food or the professional kind, your choice, more in summer or winter? I don't really eat ice cream. I just deliver it. It's not particularly good for you. So I don't really eat it very often at all. After all, you don't get high on the supply, do you? Let me see. Patan, does your ice cream van play the sailor's hornpipe or Greensleeves, HG? Who says that I drive a van? I actually come in a helicopter, which I jump out of, and I free fall, and then a jetpack kicks in. And then just as I'm coming in the jetpack, the theme tune to Airwolf starts playing. So it adds a bit of dramatic tension to my arrival as I swoop in with a strawberry ice cream in my left hand and a mint choc chip in my right hand. Amos is missing the horn of ridicule. Yes. Well, I haven't done any Let's Laugh at the Sugars recently, so that's why you've not heard it. Marley, Alaska, British Columbia are same as Sweden and Norway, stunningly beautiful. Are the women stunningly beautiful there as well, like the Scandinavians? That need to know. An old geezer, HG, if sugars came in the chat, the Tudorites would deal with them. But you know what, an old geezer? They're simply not brave enough to do it. It's very, very rare that one comes wandering in. As I've said before, I use multisyllabic words and they struggle to understand. Their little hive brain cell that they pass around explodes, and consequently, that's problematic for them. Lemon trifle, thinking you're not deluded might be a delusion. You make a valid point. But the point is, I don't think that I'm not deluded. I know I'm not. There's a useful distinction, you see. Maureen Ingleston's eyes have been opened so much by this channel. Well, that's good to read. I'm pleased that that is the case. Squeegee Beckenheim. Is that why Harry in Overdrive right now, putting more work in the last few weeks than he has in a few years, worried about the fallout? I think it's because he's trying to rehabilitate his image. He does enjoy the charity work far more than the celeb shite that he got dragged into. And if it's the case that they have separated, which seems a possibility, that would then mean that he isn't going to have to do the celeb nonsense that he once did, which would please him. And he's been brought up on the charitable stuff. It's what he knows. It's what he feels more confident dealing with. And so it's understandable that he would gravitate towards that. Furthermore, it may well be, as I've mentioned, part of rehabilitating his image by using this. Georgina, the world behind the mask. Georgina, lovely to see you. Georgina is one of my long-standing readers on the blog. Thank you for joining me here. Mr. Tudor, so polite. Do you have any plans to celebrate 30 million hits on the blog? I'm a couple of million away. I don't have any immediate plans, but I think I ought to do something. So I'll arrange something on there at some juncture, I should imagine. It would be worth doing so, absolutely, as the blog next year also becomes 10 years old. How about that? Patan, surely nobody really thought that was this one's wife phoning you. Well, Patan, according to an earlier correspondent, they did indeed believe that to be the case. So there we are. CSW, thank you for your donation. And Q, very generous of you. Top man. You get 2 tops there. That's very generous of you. Couple of, maybe even 3 bottles of dirts purchased there by our man Q. Thank you. Marley, thank you also for your donation. We're certainly getting close to that case. Maybe 2 cases. Maybe Christmas and New Year is going to be catered for by you generous Tudorites. Thank you very much. CSW will take 2 scoops of rum and raisin. No problem at all. If you send your coordinates through, I will, once this live stream has ended, power up the helicopter of ice cream delivery, and I'll be making my way to you. I belong to HG. Ice cream makes you smart, HG. The Finns eat the most ice cream and do very well in education rankings. Do you think there's a correlation between the two, or do you think it's more to do with the fact that they have a very good education system that gives them good education rankings? It's nothing to do with ice cream. I think it's that. You know, the Finns have no concept of small talk. They just don't engage in it. I remember reading about somebody explaining how his colleague was Finnish, and they shared an office, and he said good morning to him, and he gained the impression that the Finn didn't want to talk to him all day, not because he was nasty or rude, just didn't. And then at the end of the day, the Finn turned to him and said, "You and I will get along very well," because they are perfectly happy to sit in silence. Many Scandinavians are like that. I know the Finns are Nordic rather than Scandinavian, but it's interesting to find that they have no concept of small talk, that they can just sit there and not talk at all. And they're comfortable in that silence. Whereas with other people, they have to fill that silence. They need to be able to speak and say things and so forth. Maybe we should all just sit in some silence now, not say anything, just enjoy the silence. Sounds like a good name for a song. It would rather defeat the purpose of a live stream, wouldn't it? So I don't think we'll go down that route. What other questions do we have that I can address for you? I'm just scrolling through. Q, my Thai lawyer thanks you via me. As I pass your work on to him, it's helping him with several other clients' cases. Big thumbs up there, Q. You see, the Ultras work wrapping its arms around the world. And Q's Thai lawyer. Q has consulted with me in the past. I won't say any more than that. Don't want to breach confidentiality, but I'm pleased to note that you've passed my work on to him, Q, and that's been helpful to him. So that's good news. And I hope that you hope and trust that you're in fine fettle. Anna Jackson, HG, what do you think of the recent admission from former US government employees that UFOs have actually been proven to exist? We've always known that UFOs exist because they're unidentified flying objects, that they are weather balloons or cloud formations. We didn't know what they were. They were an object which appeared to be flying and they were unidentified. But were they aliens flying in a cigar-shaped vessel that then abducted somebody and probed their anus? Was it a case that they took them to Uranus? Maybe they were looking for moons behind Uranus. Maybe they decided they needed to probe in greater depth Uranus. Teresa Brown, I thought they were green, tells me I scared the sugars away. I think I probably did. Helen Howard confirms that this has been a vigorously sustained live. It certainly is. Adam's aunt, thank you for your responses to my statements, HG. You are welcome. Maleficent asks, what would stop Skank of the Hanks from using the title even after she discarded Has No Hairy for said imaginary 86-year-old billionaire? Wouldn't she just continue to use it? Yes, she probably would. She'd probably invent new ones for herself, that she would be the Marchioness of Monte Shit Show, that she would be the Queen of California. That could be the case. Maria Blenkin, have you seen the YouTube video of Sooty's friend Seep? Do you mean Sweep? Singing your own personal Jesus? No, I have not. The mind boggles. Swinging A. How common is it to be a narcissist and psychopath? It isn't common at all. Teresa Brown, I thought they were green, wants me to sing just one cornetto. No, I'm not keen on cornettos. Alberto, we need shirts that say, look to the evidence. Yes, we do. In the words of Jean-Luc Picard, I will make it so. Rebecca, can ask HG, can you hit the horn? I can't. I don't have it with me. I'm on the move at the moment, you see. Lauren is shining. I'm getting everyone HG merch for Christmas. Weaponized Empath is my favorite. Great move. I endorse you doing so. Tudorites are very loyal, observes Alberto 2001. Yes, you are. There are many people that started reading my blog way back in 2015, 2016, people that came to this channel in 2020, people who consulted with me years ago and continue to do so. They do so because it keeps them on the straight and narrow, and I help them with other aspects of their lives. So, Maleficent, I love it when HG says, fuck that shit, Sky High. Duchess of Camelot, HG, do you go to the gym regularly or are you a runner? I don't do as much running as I once did. I do go to the gym, and there are other things that I do where I'm outdoors, which enables me to keep fit. I like doing the weights. Georgina tells me that I'm at 29,861,654 logic hits, almost 30 million. Yeah, it's not far away. I better dust off my 30 million celebrations. Alaska, HG, do you have something prepared to be broadcast after you are no longer? Yes. Given what I do professionally, there is an outside chance that I might actually expire sooner than anticipated. And my lawyer has been instructed that in the event of that occurring, certain actions will be taken naturally to preserve my assets and so forth. But in relation to what I call blog world, all of this, that they will be granted access to my various platforms to make an announcement. So when that day comes that I am no longer on this mortal coil, you will be told about it. And particularly if it comes sooner rather than later. Damsel in distress. How do you respond when someone corrects you? Depends on the circumstances. In some instances, if they correct me whereby I realize that an error has been made, it's courteous to thank them, which is an assertion of control, and the correction enables me to then assert control over those that I was speaking to by being accurate, because the accuracy is important. If somebody seeks to correct me where they are wrong, it's a threat to control, and I will point out that their attempt to correct me is misplaced. In some instances, that may well be also be met with the stare to cause them to back down. Kathy Newton, as a former teacher, I was wondering who was your favorite teacher or professor and why? That's a good question. Let me think. My favorite teacher at secondary school was my English teacher, primarily because she was a big fan of me. So that makes sense. And she selected me at a comparatively young age compared to the normal age of selection for the school's public speaking team. And she always praised my composition work because of my imagination. And she was very encouraging. And she saw my talent in that regard and sought to harness it and cultivated my interest in that aspect of the curriculum. So, yeah, I'd have to say that it was probably my English teacher. Then when I went to sixth form, I would say that it was my European history teacher, because we had some really interesting conversations, and also my Oxbridge teacher, because there was me and another boy. where we had this 1-on-2 or 2-on-1, no, 1-on-2 tutelage. And we got to do really interesting essays and debate them with him. And that was stimulating. So I found that particularly useful. When I was at university, I had a particular professor who really made you think. And he was an absolute see you next Tuesday if you hadn't done the prep, which often amused me when somebody would be getting slayed by him. He had a brain the size of Canada. It wasn't a vast, empty, expanse of mainly ice, but he was a very clever man. I won't give too many details about him because that would enable people to link back to who I might be. But he certainly made you work. And again, that was stimulating to one such as I. So I found that particularly useful. So those are some of the people that have had some influence. Alberta 2001, do the sugars keep dwindling in numbers in your comments? As I mentioned earlier on, I don't see that many of them at all. Rebecca tells me that I sound amazing through earphones. Well, that's wonderful. Helen Howard's son can list all of Uranus moons. Well, that's jolly good. And what I would invite you to do, Helen, is to ask your son about the moons behind Uranus and for him to list them and for you to send that to me. And I will assume that he's been able to do it without looking it up. Lulu's mum can confirm the sugars are alive, as I was called to see you next Tuesday. Yeah, I bet that was on X, because you get a lot of them on there, but not so much on YouTube, I would say, and certainly not on my channel anyway. Gems. HG, I find it so hard to believe that this one's wife is so delusional and believes her own lies. Well, may I suggest you watch more of my videos about narcissism, not just the ones about this one's wife? It'll help you understand that. Many people struggle with the concept of a narcissist believing their own lies, but watch my other videos. I won't go into the detail now because it'd be too involved for the purposes of a live stream. I would just encourage you, go and watch some non-Tao videos, and that will help you understand. Kathy Emox, now I will have forever be the doubt you are already dead. Yes, actually, this is AI generated. What's happened is, some time ago, I wrote a computer program that continues to make videos on my behalf and undertakes this live stream. HG actually tragically died when his jetpack misfired and he slammed into the side of a mountain. It ended up whereby the last thing that went through his mind was actually a chocolate ice cream. Still, he lives on, his stentorian tones recorded and provided to the world here. Maybe we should have a moment's silence to remember him. V, an HG training video on how to execute the stare would be useful. Yes, but you're never going to be able to execute it like me because you have to essentially be dead behind the eyes, which is what I am as a consequence of my psychopathy. HG, what are you doing after this live? Well, hello, SM. Are you offering a proposal? You wanted to cozy up? Want to go somewhere intimate and really delve into the mind of the ultra? Yeah, should we have a couple of drinks and maybe a light bite of some description if you're feeling a little hungry? Actually, what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to watch an episode of Wolf Hall, because I started watching the latest one and I watched an episode earlier. Absolutely excellent. So I'm going to watch another episode of that. And then I will shower. And then I will take my naked self and climb into bed. Because I've got a very early start tomorrow. And I've got to do something professional because of it being involved in a different time zone. And then after that, I'm off for some fun and games with my friends. So it's going to be Wolf Hall, shower, bed, although I sense that the bed might be somewhat crowded with Tudorites tonight. Oh, it's just going to be a mass of limbs and mouths and tongues. Delicious. CSW, what happened to Princess PHG? Did she go away on her own, or did you just stop posting her comments? Yes. Wasn't she a wazzock? She went away on her own. I belong to HG. Is the finger of love going to make an appearance again in connection with Uranus? I understand that the finger of Tau is going to be making an appearance in connection with a newly discovered planet called Harizanus. That a digit is going to dock with the ginger sphincter. That's a delicious image for you, isn't it? Okay. Alberto 2001, HG, do you prefer spending time with normals or empaths? I prefer to be able to spend time with people that cater to what I require. So that's those people that are brought under my control. It's easy for me to get fuel because I have an extensive fuel matrix. One of the biggest things for me is stimulation. Because of my psychopathy, I have a low boredom threshold. I get bored readily. And therefore, in the circumstances, what I need to be able to do is be stimulated. So people who are interesting, people who have interesting views about things, people who have interesting things to say, to tell me about, whether it might be information about a particular thing, or it might be something that they've experienced, something that I'm not aware of. Stimulation is something, and that can come from anybody. So empaths are the favorite snack, if you will, vis-a-vis my narcissism. But with regard to the issue of stimulation, that can come from anybody. It could come from narcissists, it could come from normals, it could come from empaths also. Alberto 2001, I miss the get the point cupcake. Yes, remember that clown. What a noodle brain. Skylark. HG's video, Inside the Mind of a Narcissistic Psychopath, is still a favorite of mine because of the image in the video. Good call. Lemony Snicket. HG, I highly recommend 12 for watching over the holidays. It's Australian made and has 2 seasons. You'll love it. Okay, thank you for that. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it is? I could Google it, but then I would be looking at something else rather than talking to you guys. Excuse me. Talking about Australian productions, I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to again. If you have not watched Rake with Richard Roxburgh, have a word with yourselves. It's absolutely first class. Yes, his character is a narcissist, as Cleaver Green, but it's so brilliantly written, and Richard Roxburgh is absolutely superb in that role. It's really, really quality television. Don't bother with the American remake. Pants. Watch the original and the best, the Australian one. It's absolutely shit-canningly brilliant. Now then, V has to wait for Wolf Hall. Well, you know, if you get the BBC iPlayer and apply a VPN, you'll be able to do that. Francis Patron, HG, do you find it frustrating that your great work doesn't have a longer reach? Yes, I do. I find it frustrating when misinformation has a bigger reach as a consequence of what the algorithm does. And there have been opportunities for me to extend the reach. Publicists have been in touch with me, but it's never quite worked out. People have wanted to do television programs with me, but it's not been on the right terms. I think at some point I would look to approach an agent to get my books polished up and have the marketing muscle of a publishing house behind them. And I would want it to have more reach, absolutely. And it is frustrating when that doesn't happen. Of course, one of the advantages I do have is that I have absolute control over my work at this juncture. And if I was to involve other individuals, there would be a payoff between the control and the reach. And therefore, I would have to ensure that the sacrificing of control would translate into an extended reach. I think that I would look at doing that more when I've built up the body of work to an extent where there isn't as much for me to say anymore. And therefore, I would change my tack to more about promotion. At the moment, there's a bit of promotion with content creation and, of course, providing people with assistance through the various detectors and also the consultations. But I think at a point, the content creation would be lessened, that the consultations would be less so, and then it would turn to doing more to promote the work as a whole. But this is where all of you are so important, because there's so many more of you than there is of me, naturally, that you can do your bit. When you go to the Daily Mail or the Telegraph or your newspapers in your respective countries, put a link to my videos, or if it rejects that, mention my name and tell people where to go. Thousands of you daily watch my videos. So if you all start doing that, more people are going to see it. Put it in other places. Put it on other social media platforms. A few minutes work from you sharing, if all of you do it, will go a very long way and would gain the appreciation of your glorious narrator. Cha-Cha Mango, what's the dullest thing you have endured and why? That's an interesting question. What is the dullest thing you have endured and why? You know, I'm going to make a note on that one. Let me pick up the pen. Because nothing immediately springs to mind. But I'm going to put my thinking cap on in relation to that one and answer that on another occasion. In fact, I may well do an entire video about that in terms of what it was, why I endured it, and also the impact it had on me, because I think that's an excellent question. Why are some people's names in green and some in black? I'm scared, writes Lemony Snicket. Zainab, HG, will you be my adopted dad? Can I apply for the adoption? Sure. The application fee is £1 million. Teresa Brown, I thought they were green. If you are interested in watching drama not in the English language, I would recommend Polish World War II drama, Time of Honor. Presumably it's subtitled. I'd have to say that my Polish isn't very good. KR, HG, who do you think should be the new Bond? Me, naturally. Easy one there, isn't it? Maleficent, have you had the chance to watch Mr. In-Between? No, I have not. But I have seen clips of it, and it looks really good. And yes, I've seen the dark humor in it. You're absolutely right. It would be right up my darkened alley. I need to get into that. Absolutely. Mr. Pants, are they on or are they off? Your work has helped a relative of mine that was ensnared for 40 years. Thank you. Great to see. Thank you for letting me know. Mean Eileen, only if HG stands for hung guy. I say. Well, what if it stands for something else? Gorilla BFF had to go and retrieve a parcel downstairs. Gorilla BFF's dealer has just turned up. That's what's being meant there. Not amused. HG, how can I get you to think of me later while you shower? Well, either, not amused, you could perhaps describe how filthy you are. And I don't mean in a sexual way, because then I would think to myself, thank goodness I'm nowhere near not amused as I'm cleaning myself. Alternatively, if you're female and attractive, just send me some pictures of you to my email address, and then I'm sure that you'll invade my consciousness while I'm giving the old Tudor bod rub down. I think that would be appropriate, wouldn't it? Sue, a world without HG perisheth thought. Absolutely. KR, HG, is Obi-Wan Nairobi? Who? A narcissist. Do you mean Obi-Wan Kenobi? And it's come out as Nairobi because of the spell check. Again, if you want to know if somebody is a narcissist or an empath, use the package. Know the narcissist, show me the empath. Half price at the moment. Fill your boots. Spirit of the Forest, about you, HG. What's your face shape? It's shaped like a face. Yeah? Squeegee Beckenheim agrees that Mr. In-Between is so good. Yeah, the clips certainly whetted my appetite for it. Yep, Rate was on the ABC in Australia for 5 seasons, and then it was on Netflix as well. I don't know if it still is. That's where I watched it 3 times over, all the way through. Alberto, there are some very sassy people in the comments. There are, aren't they? They're all getting a bit excitable. And why not? Maureen is enjoying this long live HG. Please do more of them. They're so educational. Well, I like to strike a balance between telling you about narcissism and psychopathy and answering the serious questions whilst injecting some humor and entertainment into it. So I'm pleased that you're enjoying yourselves. And once again, thank you to all of you that have donated to the Dirts Fund. Much appreciated. Rach Jamragland. Do you reckon that Harry and this one's wife will have a loved-up reunion on Christmas Eve as Catherine's concert is aired and roll out the back of the children's head in a photo? I think that she might make it seem like that's the case, but if they're separated, how's she going to do it? Maybe launch an AI video of them doing the nasty together, something like that. Is there any hope for a codependent empath to disengage from narcissists, or do we always cave? There is. You don't disengage from the narcissist, you escape. So there is an opportunity to do so, even for the codependent. The starting point is organize a consultation with me. I've assisted many codependents deal with that issue and to help them. Helen Howard is going to send me some shower motivationals. That sounds most interesting, doesn't it? Adam's Aunt, when you do shuffle off the mortal coil and your last episode airs, will it reveal who you are? There is a recording that has been created that will address that, but it is only going to be released in certain circumstances. Because if I'm offed earlier than anticipated, it may still be judicious to ensure, because of the preservation of my legacy, that my identity isn't revealed. So it's a timing matter. Spirit of the Forest, come on, HG. It's rather rude, encouraging people to come on me. What do you think this is? The Bukkake sessions? Dirty, dirty individual, Spirit of the Forest. Filthy boy or filthy girl. Tanya Fraser, HG, say spicy poontang like you say it to RHR Jen with one N. Well, she's not here for me to say it to. I think I saw her name briefly earlier on. I think she popped in to flirt with me and then clearly must have heard me say spicy poontang and came over all unnecessary. She's probably fainted and fallen off her chair. Somebody better do a welfare check on her, I should imagine. Mean Eileen, where do narcissists come from? Milton Keynes. A gave why I'm sleepy, HG. Don't worry. What I put in your drink earlier on, just going to help you feel relaxed. Everything's going to be all right. Just give in to it. Listen to my voice and let your eyes close. Soon, it's all going to be over. The hurt will go away, and the contents of your bank account will be mine. Anna Jackson, how many Tudorites can HG fit in his hot tub? The answer is none, because I don't have one. I think they're a festering soup of disease. Lulu's mum suggests contact HG, it will help you. Yes, it will. TD recommends listening to The Stig. Absolutely. The Stig is very entertaining. Alaska, HG, you're the only narcissist in my life. That's the way it should be. In my thoughts and deep into the night. Makes me sound like a DJ on the graveyard shift. And now, Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye for all those late night lovebirds out there. Christian Craighead, isn't his nickname Obi-Wan Nairobi? The plot thickens in that regard. All this talk of HG offing is making me nervous. There's no need to be nervous. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just saying that there is a contingency there in relation to the possibility of it happening, because I am in certain situations which are potentially life-threatening. I belong to HG. Of course, narcs from Milton Keynes. Round and round they go. Absolutely. Staring at the concrete cows. Suzanne, HG, if you were a member, what do you mean if you were a member of the British royal family, how would you deal with all the mundane tasks? Easy. That's what the servants are for. Dig, damn you, dig. Alberto, will you be doing any updates to Treasure Trove? You would do a great Christmas Carol audio. If I find the time, I will do some updates. I know you enjoy them, and I like to provide them for people. An old geezer, HG, the SAS guy. You're suggesting I'm a pilot for Scandinavian Airlines. Damn, rumbled. Agave, HG, do you remember when you sat behind me in my Uber Tesla? I do. You were slumped over the wheel after I karate chopped you in the back of the neck. I would say sorry about that, but I'm not, because as you know, I'm not sorry about things. Well, my beautiful Tudorites, you've proven excellent company as always. Yes, I should create an ASMR channel, CSW. That would be something that would be useful. Thank you so much for giving me your time and attention this evening, this morning, this afternoon. I've very much enjoyed taking your questions, providing you with entertaining education. But it's now time for me to go and soothe the throat, have a drink, watch Wolf Hall, and then pop in the shower as I explained. But I should imagine that more live streams will be coming soon. So all that remains to be said is thank you for joining me. Thank you to those of you who so generously contributed to the Dirts Fund. I appreciate that. Also, thank you for your well considered questions and observations. They've been a delight to receive. And we will talk together soon. For now, have a great day, a good night, or an excellent rest of the day. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.